Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Make sure to like and subscribe and click the little bell if you appreciate these videos. We hope you guys will join us on all three YouTube channels, especially come join us over on Patreon. But do check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com and learn more about us as well.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Again, I think we practice what we preach. We certainly try. We do try.
We definitely try. I think we we have a strong spiritual practice. We eat the best food that we can find for our bodies. We go and we do the hard things, and sometimes we go through emotional purging. We go through physical purging. When you get into the energy world, and I just want to mention this briefly, when you have energy work, sometimes you might go through a little bit of a difficult time, but it's not the energy work that does that as much as it is the body is now ready and wanting to go into alignment. So we kind of hand someone a flashlight so that someone can look around themselves and say, okay, I think this is what's wrong. I need to fix this. And then you have to do that. You have to move forward and drink water and take really good care of yourself. Maybe go out for a massage, maybe go to a sauna. But really, self-love is where it's at. And if you're trying to move into alignment, sometimes that doesn't always feel good. I mean, sometimes you might something might happen and it might slow you down because you've been going too fast in life. You're doing too much for too many, and it's time to just slow down and focus on you and kind of block everything else out there. So it is when you're ready to heal, you're truly ready to heal. This is the way to go forward and find those core issues that may have been plaguing you for years and years and years. And when you rectify that and you put yourself in a harmonious state, then you're able to heal fully. And then you can have all the things that life has to offer and manifest, the things that you've been wanting to manifest, because you're no longer anchored down. You're no longer held down with the whatever things that are making you sick.
And on that note, we will jump to the news, which can make you sick. It is brutal. So we have another airplane incident. This was a Delta plane, and this was flying from Orlando. I saw different reports. Maybe it's Orlando to Toronto with a stop in Atlanta, because I saw people saying it was heading to Atlanta. Emergency slides deployed, allowing passengers to escape safely. What is going on? Well, if you've been following us back around 2020 when the Plague Upon the Land first came out, Cindy had gotten a vision and information that was pointing to basically all airplanes at some point in our future being grounded, being totally grounded. What could possibly cause that? Well, there's massive, massive change going on. Many people are celebrating that Klaus Schwab is out, but guess who's in? Yes, it's the head. It's the robot eye. Yeah, he's got that club thing going on with his eye. There's a certain club, and it makes him even look like he's already AI controlled, which, basically he is AI controlled in my book. So yeah, the Great Reset didn't lie. I just put on a different suit. Yeah, the Great Reset is dying a very ugly, slow death. It will not ultimately succeed, but it can absolutely cause tons of destruction along the way, as the global elite are still putting on a good face. Yeah, well, they're changing the face. Again, you shall own nothing and be happy. Now, what's the new slogan gonna be? Water is a privilege. Eat the bugs. No, water is a privilege. Access to water should not be a public right. Oh man, somebody go stick this guy in the middle of the Sahara with 1/10 of a filled canteen and let him hike his way out. Because in my book, people that have no heart like this, people that are so greedy, so self-centered, there's just no need for them to be in any position of authority. It has to change.
It does have to change. And I think this change is a little bit like that alligator death roll, really. It's going to be kind of ugly.
And as I look at him and feel into the energy, I feel he's got to be related to the Red Shield. It feels like he is a Red Shield, cousin or something. This is the Nestle CEO, Peter Brabeck. Again, he's interim. He's interim, so that means he might not be, the face of the WF for the foreseeable future. Maybe just for a little while they find a more suitable AI-controlled face.
Well, some beings, their energy is really, really yucky, so you don't want to feel into them. You want to be very superficial about the way you feel into them because you don't want your own energy getting sucked in. It's a little like, if you're drinking out of a cup and let's say the cup has dust on it and you drink that liquid, you're going to get some of that dust in you. So, looking at the outside of the energy field is okay, but there's most of the time when we're dealing with these beings, I don't look too deep.
No, as intuitive empaths and remote viewers, people that have worked really hard on trying to increase what is our God-given, truly God-given, creator-given right to develop those abilities that are called paranormal, but they're not paranormal. They're just really things that we should all be able to do if we had functioning pineal glands that, again, is sense into people see their energy bodies. I have shared with you guys, I was in my early 20s. In fact, my ex at that time was pregnant with my firstborn daughter, and I was, 21 years old, and I all of a sudden thought I had eye problems. No, I was seeing energy fields around animals, around trees, around things. It just seemed to pop on. And it was a big changing time in my life. And then when I was feeding my daughter at 3 a.m. and I could see these rivers of energy all around me, I thought, wow, you're really losing it. No, I was waking up. They want you to think you're losing it. And if society thinks you're losing it and you're not doing any sort of mind-altering substances, you probably are simply developing your abilities. Again, it's really going to be centered around the Kundalini, which is the life force energy, and the pineal gland functioning. Now, they have symbolism all over the place that basically is giving us a double middle finger, saying they understand the importance of a functioning pineal gland, and we don't, and most of humanity hasn't. This is why you have these clubs. This is why, for the first 32 degrees, they don't really teach you anything in these clubs. The Masonic Club we're talking about, and the Illuminati is very real, and other groups as well out there. These secret societies keep the knowledge that they're working for alien controllers to themselves, and you won't get that until you're up in a higher echelon. But again, if you have those abilities already developed, you know this. It's a simple fact, and it's gnosis. It's knowing with a G. That changes everything, because again, they've given us all the books. They've altered all the scriptures. They've distorted everything that we are taught so that they can maintain their oligarchy, their control system. And, they're losing control. So, Peter, his time won't be long. And again, if he thinks that water is not a basic human right, I don't think he belongs on the planet. Send him back to Mars with the rest of the control system. Now, if we listen closely to the things that they harp about, one of them is fertility rates and growing population. Well, again, fertility rates are declining rapidly. In fact, the U.S. fertility rate dropped to an all-time low of 54.5 births per 1,000 women in 2023. Less than half 1957's peak of 122.9. Man, Leave It to Beaver time, that was a different time. And yeah, we could say things were much better. One person working out there could support the family here in the U.S. typically. And, the whole goal of the American dream, house ownership, which we never really own because you still got to pay taxes. And if you miss some silly HOA, they might take your home away. Again, and then besides that, there's laws that go back to Obama and even pre-Obama. That again, the government at any time, if there's an emergency, they could come take your house and they could put you into slave labor. It's all in law. Again, the system is all about the system. It's not really much different than times when kings ruled the land. King Charles is still there, by the way. And the lords and the ladies had, they were all above the law. And the actual peasants, the ones that actually fought the wars, could be conscripted at any time to go off and fight a war for the king, the queen, the baron, what have you, the royalty. Well, that still exists. And they're even talking again in many European countries about going ahead and drafting women in too, just like we see in that Middle Eastern country where women and men all have to go serve for a certain amount of time. Serve the robber barons. No, thank you. And people are catching on that this has all been one big game. They play games with our lives, and the consequences are very real. And they view themselves as above the law. So Louisiana is leading the way here with the smallest change at just 0.3%. Some states have had enormous drops. Utah has the sharpest drop in fertility rate at 33.9%. Ooh, 33.9. Yeah, again, what you're seeing is what's been talking about by people from the Club of Rome, from the WEF, that Gil Bates guy, and so about, human population being too high. And here you have it. It won't be too high for too long. You go another generation or two, and the world's going to seem relatively empty. And some countries, it's already really apparent. I mean, look to Japan and look to some European countries. Oh, man. And then you see, you see kind of some people putting it out there. Again, they have us divided into these different camps. What we have to recognize is, the system only promotes from within. But at the same time, you hope that the higher self of some of these people that are in very high positions will get a stronger foothold, because the very substance from which the manifest universe comes, the four elements come from ether, and the ether is changing. We are changing. We did a Patreon exclusive, and we'll give you guys a little bit of what we got. Your reality is literally changing at the most fundamental level. It's like each age, each yuga, and again, if you look at that biblical term, and they're talking about the new age, and which again, many people of a fundamentalist mindset will be terrified of the new age. Why would you be terrified of a new age when the age we've been in is the darkest of the dark? It's the one where the demons are ruling outright. You should be happy that we're leaving the demonic age and heading into a time where at least we know who the adversary is, truly.
It's better when you know what you're dealing with, for sure.
Yes, and now people are, awakening to that. So Trump administration's baby boom agenda, medals for moms, and $5,000 birth bonuses. Wow! Trump officials are quietly weighing options to boost America's declining birth rates, from $5,000 baby bonuses to reserving 30% of Fulbright, and we'll take a quick peek at this. Fulbright scholarships for married applicants with children. We need to channel the Make America Healthy Again spirit and really deep dive into infertility. So what do we really have going on? Again, when we look to this guy who, very well may end up leading the country at some point in time, if, certain things that people have seen in visions are accurate. And that could be very, very scary. A very, very flawed individual with a really flawed astrological chart. And, again, Vedic astrology is very accurate. And the reason is because there is a natural matrix, but yet we do have free will and free choice. If you've ever seen the movie about his bio, he certainly lived a tough upbringing. And yeah, is he perfect? None of them are perfect. And again, you're going to have to hope that there's some within the system that can help the system fall apart. Basically, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for somebody in a position of authority to help hasten the demise of the system so that we could come up with something much newer, much safer for all, and something, that's not going to lie to us as the established norm and official channel of communications.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to see, because we still see some things going on. Like they were talking about, let's go audit Fort Knox, and that just completely went silent. Oh, we're going to stop this spraying above, and even though the laws are passed, it's still happening. So they're at least putting on a good show, but really, are they really going to do anything? I think they've made some good moves with what's going on with the food, so at least making certain things public and making things mainstream, so those people who only rely on mainstream and professionals, they're finally getting a little tidbits of good information. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm still sort of kind of in a place where I don't know. I don't like it when they say they're going to do things and they don't, because that just takes me back. That's a trigger. That's a trigger. 'Cause it's like, say you're going to do things and then you don't, or you're just completely dishonest, or you're avoiding the truth completely and you're just kind of going along doing whatever you want and just avoiding this one little particular thing. That bothers me. So we'll have to see it. But then I have to circle around and say, okay, well, I am grateful for X, Y, and Z, because certain things have happened, which are good. So I don't know what Mike just got in his head, but he got something in his head. So we're going to go off on another branch of information here.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite little series. It lasted far too short, and the reason why I like it so much is because it's very real. Why? And I see people all the time saying this. If 47 is really trying to help us, if RFK Jr. is really trying to help make us healthy, truly, then why don't they just simply go all the way? There was this show, The Colony. The Colony was really fun. In fact, I wouldn't mind rewatching this. This was great. What happened with The Colony? Well, the whole scenario of this colony is an alien invasion, where LA is divided between collaborators and rebels, right? This was really good. And so it has the guy that was in Lost. And what happens is, again, the Earth is directly taken over control by aliens, and then you have people that go along with them because they feel like there's no hope to fight them. I mean, they just have drones that vaporize us instantaneously. They put up big walls to lock us in so we can't move from place to place. Humans are trapped, right? And, and they refer to the extraterrestrial group that takes over as the hosts, which you don't really see them. You see the drones that they utilize, and the hosts just take out control. And so, what are people going to do? They have to go along with the ETs, because how could they possibly fight them? Well, this is the reality. And when Trump first sat down as 45 and turned pale as a ghost after talking to Obama, and where he was actually told some things that he had heard about, kind of new, but still, when somebody really tells you officially, or if you ever actually get to see a reptilian in front of you, you probably will poop your pants too. This is the reality. Why don't they go ahead and just, clean things up right now? Because if they overstep their bounds, the control system's still there. The control system is ultimately not Homo sapiens. These guys, all they're doing, they're just doing what they're told. That's all they do. They do what they're told. Why should access to water not be a public right? Because in his view, we are under the control of a control system that you cannot fight against. You cannot win against. This is truly what he believes. So, might as well join them and become part of the elite slaving, master class. This is the reality. So what you have going on is some beings that have hope that there's others out there that will support us and help fight for us if we get to the point where everybody can know what's really going on. And, yet again, this is part of an intergalactic, interdimensional war. What is really meant by spiritual warfare? Spiritual warfare is, again, interdimensional warfare. When you look at this, Google broke the rules, and now the government wants to take Chrome away. Google's been found running a search monopoly. Oh, okay. Now the punishment. The U.S. government wants it to hurt. Top of the list, force Google to sell Chrome, the world's #1 browser. Google's favorite way to funnel users straight into its search engine where they will get the answers that they want you having. Again, this back in May of 2019, we were demonetized on Evolutionary. Yesterday's video at 5,000 was like the most views we've had in a long time. But we've also had videos that did 250,000. I had a video that did 980,000 views. So what happened? Well, we talked about something that was relating to the plague upon the land 6 months before it came out, 7 months before it came out. So immediately, channel was demonetized, channel was put on a blacklist, and you would not be allowed to reach as many people. So when I see the breaking through yesterday to a new level, or right at the edge of a new level, it does make me feel like there's more and more cracks in the system. This right here, Monoperation. Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember Operation. That was a fun game. Oh, it'd make you jump, right? What if they start breaking up these main control systems? That would be wonderful. This is what we have to do. We have to go the opposite way of what we've been doing. We've been heading towards more and more central control. You have to break it down. So, sending power back to the states is just a baby step, but it is a good step. And then break it down even farther, because, like in the state that we're in, where we are, is very different than the other side of the state. Couldn't be any more different. And it's that way in California too. It's that way in many different places. You have counties that are very red, and yet you have mega cities that are as blue can be. And how do they do this? It's all about controlling information. This is 1984 Big Brother as much as you can, get. But here we have the fact that we just went through a regime where it's blatantly obvious to most people that the president was not really the president. I mean, he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't, even capable. And yet again, there was more than one being portraying that entity that we called Joe Biden. And more than one, obviously, clearly, more than one being. And this the way that they control information, Biden's declassified internet censorship plan relied on USA to combat online disinformation. Oh, as well as other things. Did you like spending your money for certain parties? Things that go totally against everything we believe in. Yeah, that's what they did with your tax dollars, which again is your time working hard. This is beyond ridiculous. Now, all these people in 47's cabinet, they're all flawed too. They're all flawed. And, here we have a text again. From his social truth here. I'm doing what I was elected to do, remove criminals from our country, but the courts don't seem to want me to do that. My team is fantastic, doing an incredible job. They are being stymied at every turn by even the U.S. Supreme Court, which he has such great respect for, but which seemingly doesn't want me to send violent criminals and terrorists back to Venezuela or any country for that matter. People that came here illegally, the courts are intimidated by the radical left who are playing the ref. Great Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito correctly wants to dissolve the pause on deportations. He is right on this. If we don't get these criminals out of our country, we are not going to have a country any longer. We cannot give everyone a trial, because to do so would take 200 years. We would need hundreds of thousands of trials for hundreds of thousands of illegals that we're sending out of the country. So what you have is what the Polish psychic Christoph said. It's going to look like we have a coup. And he was wondering if the coup is actually going to be 47, basically expanding his role beyond what it is typically taken to be. Every single president has expanded way beyond what the original intention was. Again, it doesn't even resemble remotely what the original intention was. And those founding fathers were nobody to be worshipped. No, they were, half of them were slavers. So, again, the right to freedom and et cetera, pursuit of happiness, but not if you're one category of human being. No, that's still ridiculous. Again, this is just all the old system. This is all the old way of doing things. But we have to take what we can take and make the baby steps we can make as we move forward. Listen to Kash Patel here.
I think we got to educate people that the Federal Reserve is not a public government entity. It's a private entity.
And I know you guys know that. I've known that for 35, 40 years. Yeah. But, this is good that it's coming out completely. Now, they want to create something new, obviously, but the realization is they're not going to get it. If they do get something, it's not going to last long. There's no way it could, because too many people are awakening.
There are, but I've seen this information come down the pipes for years and years and years. So it gets brought up and people bring it up and they say, well, we need to do something for this, about this. And yeah, sure. But then nothing happens. And, I know Trump, his words sound nice. He's like, oh, I'm trying to get rid of the bad guys, but they won't let me. So, is he not just using the court system as a scapegoat? So now what? Nothing is going to happen because the court system, did they already know this coming into this, that they could just, say, just blame it on this person, blame it on that person, blame it on this system, blame it on that system. It's because it's so extremely chaotic, nothing can really get done. It's like we are completely locked. And until something squeezes or gets twisted or works the wrong way for all of it to fall apart, once it all falls apart, then it can be rebuilt in a more harmonious order. But until then, it just feels like we're locked into place. I don't see things really going forward or backwards.
Well, you could smell the coffee, because what's coming is that civil war condition. And, again, everything is unraveling, and yet it is part of a plan. I do think all this is planned, even the dissension. It's all planned out. It is a WWE script. It truly is. Yet at the same time, I think it's going to spiral out of control, because I think they know they can't control it. They can't control it ultimately. So they know it's going to unravel. They just want to maintain as many sheep inside the pens as possible. This is what's going on. They're not going to catch them all. They're not going to be able to herd them all again.
Well, I think this is good. What you and I do and so many other people do. It's like we're going around the corral and we're checking for all the weak spots, so that maybe, just maybe, we can open it up and then everybody somehow, some way will be free and people will have more options, more choices. There's going to be more transparency, but it's going to take death by 1,000 cuts with this system that's in place right now. There's no one real good guy and there's no one real bad guy. We're the poor children in the middle between the two divorced parents. We're the ones who basically we're going to have to pay for this karma. So we need to watch out for ourselves. We need to watch out for each other, and we need to just simply do the best we can. moving forward and be the best person we can be. You know, one thing that is really difficult to find these days, because everyone is so stressed, is just kindness. Just, you know, like people being good to people, because they're so stressed out. People lash out at each other quite often, and it really kind of creates a mood and this energy of holding people down. You know, instead of lifting each other up, there's more people holding each other down just because they're cranky, they're fussy, they're stressed, and they want something different and they don't know how to get it. So I think in that sense, when we recognize that and then we start to lock arms and work together regardless, then hopefully we'll start getting somewhere.
MTG says, evil is being defeated by the hand of God in apparent celebration of Pope Francis's death and also Klaus's stepping down. As she did tweet that, basically we've seen major changes. Today there were major shifts in global leadership. Evil is being defeated by the hand of God. But when you say the hand of God, which Anunnaki are you talking about? The source of everything is within all of us, and we don't, well, all of us that are truly human and truly do have a soul. I'm not sure exactly how it works with these cloned entities that seem to have some semblance of, well, they definitely have life force in them, but they're not like us. And then again, the dark ones that have given their life force energy over to the AI that's really controlling the show, that's not created by Homo sapiens. No, the AI that runs the show that was basically created by the Draco and has enslaved them. Now that truly is the ultimate Satan as far as we can see. Again, the hand of God, that is such a blanket statement. It could refer to so many different entities over time. And again, just you look to people, again, very, very flawed. MTG's very flawed. I'm flawed. We're all flawed. Cindy has her days. We all do. Even Rama, can get grumpy at times. But this is the realization. Now, Minnesota files a bill, HF 3219, to designate a certain stuff as biological weapons of mass destruction. In my mind, this is great. Again, the reality is those clouds that we see up overhead, if you were to, ground, if you were to remove all the mechanical apparatus that's in all the commercial planes that are actually putting this stuff out there, it would still be out there. And, I don't think I did put it here, but there was an example in a country yesterday where they were watching military planes doing it, clear military planes doing this. And yes, the military does do this. And again, it's ultimately beyond the control of presidents. That's the realization. And because it's also in Russia, it's in China, it's in the U.S., it's in Israel, it's in Iran, it's all over the place. Think about that. That is such a giveaway as to what the real situation is on this portion of planet Earth. By the way, 6.2 over in the Philippines. If you didn't check out EE Arts yesterday, the video on the earthquake prophecy for this year, for July of 2025, where she says that Ryo Tatsuki had a vision. She saw 5 a.m. on July 5th, 2025. There was an earthquake that literally changes the whole Pacific. And I think this is the diamond that she's talking about. Do you agree, sweetie?
Looks like it.
Yeah, I think this is the diamond that she's talking about, it because it may actually leave it so that there's a land that connects Hong Kong to Taipei, Hong Kong to Taiwan, Philippines to Japan after this quake, which is going to be something that I would think, the way she describes it, probably 9.5 or better. Huge. So we have a 6.2 over here in the Philippines. It's just something to be aware of. Some of you have also made comments about other people that seem to be looking for this. Here you go. This is Space Weather News. Literally 0 meteorologists predicted this. Sea surface temperatures in the eastern tropical Pacific have abruptly cooled by up to 10 degrees Celsius in the past 2 weeks. Well, that's just kind of a La Nina condition. But yeah, the reality is there's technology that literally you could flick a switch, basically, is what they do. Is they flick a switch, so to speak, technologically, and they'll switch us from La Nina to El Nino, which is the opposite of this, which is the warming. Now, these do affect weather patterns, so be very, very aware of that. This is NOAA's, and again, I don't trust anything really from NOAA, NASA. It's the same source. So if we're looking and we're totally trusting in ice samples and cores and looking at the historical record, look deeper into where those sources came from. Are they coming from, Berkeley? Are they coming from Harvard? Are they coming from, all these institutions that, again, is just system, because the system always is doing what it can to take the microscope off of them. They want you to be looking elsewhere. And here you go, these type of radar impulses, people are really waking up in droves to this. A lot of people, as this is talking about people in the Southeast, again, feeling sick and dizzy at the same time. There's more than one thing happening here. There is absolutely technology that's obviously influencing us. And there is also a natural reason for it too, which again we covered on Patreon exclusives from the guides. There is again a changing of the very ether, the very foundations of our reality is changing, which that part is natural. What you're seeing here with the modifications that are ongoing and the amplification of the signals, obviously that part is not natural. And it's inevitable. The dollar nosedives to 3-year lows. The reality is for exports, having too strong a dollar can keep exports down. And the U.S. is trying to balance its budget, so to speak. Ultimately, what's going to happen? Yeah, they're triggering the next big collapse. This is the year that it all comes down. As far as the beginnings of that new system, which still is going to take a little time. I mean, it's not going to be that you blinked your eyes and the entire population of the world has, chips in its arms or hands or what have you. No, and again, a lot of people are just never going to go along with these things. And the system is again being exposed. Chinese plastic factories face mass closure. U.S. ethane supply, which is used in the plastic, is evaporated. So even though China produces so much, this one particular item here is affecting their ability to again use plastics. Seems like everything in this world is wrapped in plastic, does it not? So again, the world is so ultimately tied up together that what we have is an economic situation that's obviously going to be a big rug pull. China will never accept it. Beijing warns countries against trade deals with Trump at China's expense. And this is again that bipolar world. Pick a side. No, if we choose neither side, if we choose peace, truly, if you have nobody that's going to, fight against other manipulated humans in another country, then you're going to have some real change. And this is J.D. Vance basically announcing that they have the groundwork started of a deal with India. India may, be the most populous nation in the world at this point in time, passing China. There's all sorts of people that are jumping on board with the thought that China's population has mysteriously evaporated over the last couple of years and may only be as big as the United States population. Again, there's so much distortion out there. It's tough to really know where to put your trust, but That's why we would always say trust within, go within, develop that, daily spiritual practice.
That definitely is something that we all need to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. How will this all sort out? Let's hope it's peaceful. That's the thing. Let's hope it's peaceful. China plows 90 billion pounds into FTSE 100 companies. So why is China all of a sudden investing so much more in the UK, meanwhile potentially divesting itself of all its US holdings? Again, it's part of that bigger collapse, which has been planned for generations. Literally generations. And, again, I take this as a good sign. British soldiers are signing off in record numbers, not going to work for Keir Starmer or any of those other Weaver puppets, because they're all Weaver puppets when you get down to it. It's going to take really humans from all the militaries recognizing that all you do is you're serving the military-industrial complex. When you look back to the words of Plato, again, Deuteronomy 32, and it's again echoed in Psalms. If you really want to get more details, listen to Plato's Critias, because he talks all about when, again, those beings that we call the Anunnaki, simply, beings that come from the sky down to earth, and in other instances, maybe up from the ocean or from come out from within inner earth and other sections of the earth, when they divvied up this world and they separated it into its countries, they're the ones that created these countries. Why? So we'll be busy fighting each other the whole time. When you see this happening globally, you're at the time of real change.
Indeed.
And hopefully that's sooner than later. And this is who has actually rolled the most money into AI. As you see, the U.S. More than 3 times as much money as China. Of course, again, does the U.S. get a lot for its money, or does it overpay? Well, obviously, that doesn't even have to be answered. AI is a huge thing. And ultimately, when they're revealing AI, they are removing the true control system. Why is cancer the leading cause of death among our pets, dogs and cats? You know why. I mean, I know you can figure it out. It's increased along with, unfortunately, the rise in humans. I think it's very important for everybody to understand the parasitic reality of this plague upon the land.
So, even down to the food, the kibble is ultra processed. And I know not everyone can just simply go and start cooking food for their pups. That's laborious and it costs a lot of money. But we want the best for our babies. And what I see a lot of people do is they get the best kibble that they can find. I've heard a lot of good about Victor, but they'll get that kibble and then they'll get some really good organic meat and maybe blueberries, and they'll at least put toppers on that. And then one thing that's a really good cancer preventative that we always put in our dog's food when we cook it is turmeric. So we do all the things to help push away the parasites. We throw that in there too, ginger, turmeric, a little touch of clove. And there's a lot of things that are coming out now that were in the past, it was said to be toxic to dogs. And I really recommend everyone do your own research because it can vary from dog to dog to dog. But one thing that's been really, really helpful is all the anti-parasitic everything. So we give that to our dogs too, on a regular basis. And it seems to, by doing all these things, cooking their food to the best of our ability, doing all the things, for the parasites, every now and then, probably a couple times a week, I give them a full can of organic pumpkin puree. Yeah, our puppies, they're a little bit spoiled. We do our best. I mean, we can't do the ultimate, but we still do our best within our limitations, because, there's financial limitations for everybody. So we do the best with what we've got. And I would say turmeric, colloidal silver. If your pup is running into a problem with cancer, One thing you can do is if it's where they can't lick it off, you could put castor oil. If it's a tumor on the skin, make sure they cannot lick that off. And then Sassy has this cough every now and then, and I give her a little shot of turmeric and colloidal silver. I'll give her a little dose of that, and then that takes care of that cough that she has for months and months and months. So yeah, there's a lot of other things that we can't even mention on this channel, but yeah, you guys know what we're talking about. And while I'm thinking of it, this is kind of a segue. I'm sorry, but someone asked a question about when is Mars going to be out of Cancer? Because yeah, the home can be very uncomfortable right now for some people because of Mars being in Cancer. That should end June 6th, so we can look for some relief, probably before June 6th and definitely after.
As always, guys, show a little love each day to each other, and certainly to all the lovely animals that are part of our lives and to nature as a whole. Again, this is a temporary situation, and the good news is that the Kali Yuga is by far the shortest age, even though it may seem the longest when you're within it.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.